I was like, okay, pandas are super cute, but they're definitely pandas with deep feelings. You know, you can do
Mm,
shadow work with them. They're capable of
mm,
having a serious conversation with you.
Hello, everybody. We were having some technical difficulties there, but we're back on. And this is episode 4 of the Deck Creator Corner. I'll be talking with Kim today about all of her deck creations. She's got the Way of the Panda Tarot, she's got the Spread Machine Tarot, and she's got the Sparkly Lenormand. And we had been talking a little bit about some of her experiences and some of her processes. But we are going to try to jump back on with her.
We're gonna get through this. Mercury retrograde will not get the best of us.
It will not.
You know what? Now that we're back on track and we've gotten through a little bit of the topics, there was a lot of craziness going on. Can we do another quick? All right, let's
do that.
Okay. If anybody's on this right now joining us, thank you for coming back. And we're gonna do another quick just cleansing and deep breath, because there's a lot of intense energies going on. So we just want to center back into the conversation and into the vibe. So you're welcome to join us if you'd like. Okay. Lovely. I think a good place to start, Kim, maybe just a quick reset. Give us a quick little blurb about what inspired you to create the Way of the Panda Tarot, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, so I created Way of the Panda Tarot because I love pandas and I love tarot, and I've always just been surrounded by panda plushies. I'm very connected to the panda archetype and the panda wisdom. I am probably a panda if I weren't human. In fact, I'm probably a panda wearing human skin. You wouldn't know. And I just wanted a panda deck that was more reflective of my aesthetic, and because there's one other panda deck out there, and it's just not really my cup of tea. It's a little bit like stereotypical Asian. So I thought I really wanted to create my own panda deck that just preserves the natural cuteness of the pandas, and also reimagines panda in this whimsical and playful setting full of imagination. So I really just created it for myself. Just for my use.
And I just happened to resonate with like a bunch of people.
Yeah.
You did Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, I kickstarted Way of the Panda Tarot and my second deck, Spread Machine.
So is there a reason why you picked to go with Kickstarter?
So I'm just thinking of the other options. I think I just went straight to Kickstarter. I didn't really think much about the other options. I mean, I suppose I could do a pre-order, but with Kickstarter, it's just like there's more exposure and it's very exciting because it's a crowdfunding campaign and there's a lot of marketing opportunities. And also I was seeing other animal whimsical decks on Kickstarter around the time, like before I started creating Way of the Panda Tarot. I think Consider It Cat Tarot was on Kickstarter. I was like, if she could do it, so could I.
Yeah.
So I created a deck and I wanted to fund it through Kickstarter. And then there's traditional publishing, which isn't really my cup of tea. I like being an entrepreneur and I love to kind of present my own creations to the world. Like,
yeah, keep it in your hands.
I don't want to be part of I don't want to be under someone, you know what I mean? I just want to, do my own thing. So like crowdfunding is like perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, see, because I've been considering I'm considering pre-orders versus Kickstarter. Those are kind of like my two
Mm-hmm.
ideas, but I get what you mean about like the excitement of like getting a
Mm-hmm.
Kickstarter and everybody's like, oh, he's gonna launch his
Yeah.
Kickstarter. So the only thing I wonder or maybe worry about is because I don't know how big the fees are on Kickstarter, so I don't know if that is something that is like I've seen enough people do Kickstarter where I feel like they're not crazy fees, because if
Mm-hmm.
they were, like, people wouldn't be using the platform.
Yeah.
But I wonder if, like, for a first time, like, did you feel they were steep for you? Did you feel like, I guess for me, that's
Mhm.
kind of like a worry, I guess.
Yeah. It didn't feel steep. I think it was around like 5% that Kickstarter would take from your final funding, but then they also would charge you like bank transaction fees and stuff. Because I'm
Mm,
based in Canada, I think like when they charge people's cards, and a lot of people are based in America, so there's like this currency thing going on.
mm.
I think in the end, Kickstarter ended up taking like close to 10%, which wasn't too bad because I feel like the exposure itself and the reach, your campaign gets to stay on Kickstarter forever, and people still search up like decks that have been on Kickstarter. So
That's true.
I think it's really worth it. And plus, Kickstarter just really provides the platform for you to do all of that. And like even with pre-orders, you might have to pay fees for PayPal or something like that as well. So it's not too bad. So I didn't feel like it was really steep or it was really cutting into my profit because there's just so many other things I do with gain along the way when you do a Kickstarter, like the crowd,
Hmm.
exposure, connections, the fun, the stretch goals. Everything is just, I think it's really worth it. I'm all for Kickstarter. It's definitely camp Kickstarter. You can't talk me out of
That's funny. Yeah, and so I've been really considering Kickstarter because I've noticed, especially within the community, like if there's a Kickstarter about to happen, people are
it.
I mean, right now, like with what's
Yeah.
going on right now, with the Pacific Northwest Tarot, like
Yeah.
everybody is jumping on it
Yeah.
like right now. And so like I'm really I'm thinking of doing Kickstarter, but I'm still assessing, but I'm really considering it. Just because I feel like there is that fee and there is that obstacle in a way, but
Hmm.
at the same time it's like it's a fee, but it's like you're paying for a service, right? So
Hmm. Yeah.
like you're getting something out of it. It's not like a bank fee where you're just like
Hmm.
paying to get money out.
Hmm.
And so like I'm thinking like I might want to kind of go that way. And so I think
Hmm.
that this kind of does lead into my next question, but there is a question in the chat. And I think it's an interesting question. It says, what do you wish you knew before you started before you created your first deck?
Let's see. Oh, this one is a technical one. I wish I knew that to go to print your digital files that you send to your printer, it needs to be in CMYK. So that's the color scheme. Um, all of the
Oh
way up the pin
yeah.
of files were in RGB, and the difference is RGB is primed for screen because there's a light, right? But when you go to print, everything is on
Oh.
paper. So the color scheme is a little different. And if you get an RGB cards, the colors might come out really weird. And my printer wasn't able to print an RGB, and I have to like at the time I was kind of like just getting into graphic design. I didn't know a lot of the terms and I have to do everything myself. It took me forever to figure out, but when I figured out, it was just like a quick conversion on Photoshop. It literally took 5 minutes. So it's just before that, I didn't know, right? I was just like, oh, like what the hell?
So you didn't stop with the Way of the Panda.
Nope.
um, you did the Way of the Panda, and you're like, wait, there's more. um, so so how did that happen? Like, was it like? Did you get a taste? Was it like when people get tattoos where they get their first one and they
Mhm.
just can't stop getting more tattoos?
Yeah.
Like, did you get a taste of like creating a deck and you're just like, yes,
Uh-huh.
this is it? Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I just want a little bit more on that segue of like how you went from creating Way of the Panda to like expanding into these other decks that you're wanting to
Mhm.
manifest.
Yeah, I definitely caught the bug. It's like if I wish I had like 50-hour days so I could work on all the decks that I want to create. My problem is like there's only one me in the world. That sounds really narcissistic. I just mean like I want to have more time to work on my ideas and stuff. But how I got into Spread Machine deck was I think at the time I was like working on the book. It's like a spreads book. It's called the Book of Spreads. I wanted to put out like a spreads book because I've always loved spread creation. And then I just got hit with the idea that what if instead of a book, I created a deck with a bunch of spread prompts so other people could also just make spreads on the fly. So that's kind of how that was the idea of it. And then when I started researching, I found out that there was already another deck that was for spread crafting. So I was like really bummed out. I was like, not the first one. But that was okay. That really pushed me. That really challenged me to make it even better. I was like, okay, I just gotta be unique. I gotta put even more of my creative essence in it. I just need to make it very, very different from that one to kind of set it apart. And I'm really glad there was a deck out there, and they really challenged me because like I'm always down for a creative challenge. Like you know, I'm Aries, right? I'm Aries, so I'm very competitive. Like nobody can create me. So I was just like, I just gotta make it. I just gotta level that shit up, right? So. And that became the Spread Machine that you see today, and it really became like a tool that for personal development. And I put a lot of like personal development concepts in there, and like all spiritual growth. I just wanted to be the ultimate psychic for any card slinger who wants to create spreads or do readings and stuff like that. So that's how I got into Spread Machine, particularly.
And then after was the Lenormand, was that like in between The Way of the Panda and Spread Machine, or was that after Spread Machine too?
That one was the funny one. That one was like I joke that I completed it by accident. So I officially finished it last year around like October, November, because I was working on Spread Machine like going to production. So some of the technical stuff like graphics and getting the files ready, doing the deck covers, and I was like, this is so technical. I just need to doodle something and illustrate something and just go brainless for a while. Just let my heart and my gut take the wheel and then just not think. So I ended up completing Sparkly Lenormand. But I actually started that sort of like 2 years ago 3 years ago, maybe even 4. Like when I first started getting to digital drawing, and I was like, I need something to work on. And a Lenormand system is kind of like a challenge, right? Like a drawing challenge is like each card prompt, you just draw it. So I just and I drew like some cards from. I didn't know it was going to be Sparkly Lenormand. I just used that as a practice, and it was like really bad, like the art at the time, because I was still like practicing. So I had some ideas about like what was going to be on the card. And then last year I just kind of took some of my old designs. I wouldn't call them designs. They were just kind of like panda scratches. It just took them and then kind of just repurposed them and then redid everything and then finished the cards that I didn't do. And then it became a deck. And I was like, well, I'm printing Spread Machine. Might as well just print Sparkly Lenormand at the same time. So that's what happened.
So the Kickstarter was for both of them, right?
Just for Spread Machine. I didn't do a Kickstarter for Sparkly Lenormand because it was a smaller deck, so it was cheaper to print.
So that one you just did like people like a pre-order basis kind of maybe?
Yeah, I just did pre-orders and I just put it on my shop because I think at the time I was just so tired from the Kickstarter for Spread Machine. I didn't want to put another Kickstarter, so I was like, this is a smaller deck, cute sort of side quest I got randomly completed. I'll just do pre-orders and put it on my shop.
Okay, that's cool. We have a couple of questions here, Kim. Shaniqua asks, how did you go about promoting your Kickstarter campaign?
Ooh, okay. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. Okay, so like a lot of I think spiritual indie businesses, we have a hang up about marketing because we don't want to sound too salesy or too annoying or too pushy or whatever. But I think marketing is just your creative energy meets authentic communication. It's just the best part of you, sharing your fun with other people. No sound. But yeah, like I like to talk about marketing as if it's like you're hosting a big party and you're just putting everything you love in there. You're creating these events to really bring joy to people. And you're not forcing them to come. You're inviting them to come in for sure. You're like, this is all the goods that I have. This is what's happening. If you really love it, you can come join. If you want more of it, there's a party next week. That kind of vibe. You're creating joy for people by being the best version of yourself and communicating what you love. Okay, for the question. So the question was how I marketed my Kickstarter, right? So I personally really love giveaways. I just think giveaways are really fun because I get to showcase what I created. And for Kickstarter, it was like before that got printed, right? So I would just say, by the way, my Kickstarter is getting funded, is going to launch. And then this is the deck I'm creating. I might show some pictures. And if you win, you will win like a deck after it's funded. I know that's kind of like a little bit far away, but you know, giveaways is definitely one of the things I really love to do to promote. Because it's like really fun to do, right? And it's like in the spirit of giving. And generosity. And I just really love the vibe of a giveaway. And then you just, I guess you just like, it's kind of like you just talk about yourself and the things you created, but in a way that's like really fun. And I'm just trying to like, and it's not even like you have to deliberately sort of make it into this thing. It's really just like, what is the thing that you really want to share with people? And I would just share that. Like I would share, oh, when I created Way of the Panda Tarot, like I sort of imagined that there's this whole kingdom of pandas. You would tell the story of your deck, basically. I guess to be more concrete with stuff, you want to have like a promotional calendar right before your campaign. You definitely want to pre-launch your campaign. You want to talk about your deck all the time right before the campaign. You want to like, okay, imagine your Kickstarter campaign is a rocket launch. And a month before that rocket launch, you want to get the world excited. You're going to be like, this is a destination. This is how we made the rocket. These are the people that are on it. You're going to talk about that whole journey just for a month. So have like a promotional calendar, like a social media calendar. And again, it doesn't have to be salesy, as in like, I have a Kickstarter, you need to give me money. Like,
right.
Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to hear that. So it's just literally just share what you've created for a month, and then each day you can have like a different topic, share pictures, get people excited. A month before that, you just want to be like talking about your deck, sharing your joy, how you, and anything about your deck, really. And then you want to have a big event, like giveaway or something, right before the launch date. Like 3 days before the launch date, you want to have like a big giveaway, or you go live and do something crazy, something that's really fun. And then you launch the campaign, and then you just take people on this adventure. Like, don't approach it as if like, I need to get people to give me something. Approach it like, I'm going to give people what I've created. I'm going to create this huge, amazing event where everybody wins, and it's just magic happens. You don't even need to like think a lot about that. So, okay, I realized I went off for a while. Is that good?
Kim, that's amazing. No, that was such amazing, such good advice. I was like, oh wow, like I'm sitting here like, yeah, this is great advice. Thanks, Shaniqua, for this amazing question, because like, yeah, there's a lot to consider, especially when it comes to marketing. And there is this kind of resistance, like, oh, I don't want to market. Like, when you think of marketing, you think of like people calling you up, like telemarketers, just like trying to get you to buy something that you don't want. And it's like, that's not like this, like more authentic, like spiritual marketing really kind of resonates a lot. And I think that another thing, Shaniqua, that I saw Brendan doing for this recent Kickstarter, these last few days, he's been posting like 3 or 4 pictures of each of the suits and being like, this is the suit of this, and like my Kickstarter information.
Yeah.
and kind of like giving us little teasers of like already finished cards and like
Mm-hmm.
giving us details in his posts and like he's kind of like not giving it all away, but he's like slowly and surely as it gets closer making it more and more like this is what's happening, like come and see, you know, like
yeah, show them a little leg.
yeah, yeah. That's so funny.
But
okay,
yeah.
so we have... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I just want to add one last thing about marketing.
Yeah.
Like, marketing is not like trying to get people to do something. Marketing is just finding the people that want your stuff already. You know, it's like, let's say, if you think about the decks, no sound. Like, if you think about the decks you're gonna buy or you usually buy, it's like, it's already in your genre. Like you will buy the deck, right? It's just about finding your tribe and connecting with them and just showing them that you have this really cool thing going on. It's like marketing is about finding the people that want your stuff already. It's like the tribe exists already. It's about finding them.
Yes, exactly. Shaniqua, asking a follow-up question. Did you do any paid advertising?
Ooh, I tried that. I tried to do Facebook ads for Way Up the Panda Tarot, and then my brother, he was like, oh, I want to play with these algorithm stuff, and he helped me with some Facebook ads for Kickstarter, for Spread Machine Kickstarter. So I did try, but I just found it to be a little inorganic. Like, I know it can definitely be effective if you want to look into the numbers and the algorithm and stuff, but for me, it was just a little out of my element, and I didn't really enjoy doing it. But I know it can definitely be very effective if you look into that. Like, I just personally prefer to spend more time on connecting with people and not worrying too much about the numbers, because even in my second campaign, my brother was handling all the ads, and it got a little boring, to be honest. Like, I'm definitely not shitting on it. Like, it's a very effective tool. I just don't have a lot of expertise on it, and I personally find it a little boring. So, so that's what I think. But it really works, I think.
Cool. So we have a couple more questions before we move on, and I think they're both really good questions because when we talked about the illustrator, that was when we cut off. So this is a question about that. It says, do you have any tips on working with one's illustrator in a way that is win-win and least stressful?
Ooh, okay. I think in this regard, I got really lucky because Celia and our temperaments are very similar. So it was like a breeze. But I think definitely active communication is very important. Like, I think especially when you're the one maybe commissioning the artist, or depending on how you're collaborating, you know, especially when you're the one who's communicating your concept, it's I think the first thing I would say is, like, you have like a vision of how the card is going to look. I think you need to allow it to sort of be birthed through another person, and it's going to be almost like exactly how you imagine it, but also not, you know? So it's like you need to, it's like giving birth to a kid, right? It's like, you know, it's like it came out of you, but it also will kind of grow into, you know, like it will also kind of grow into its own thing. So I think the first thing is don't have too like rigid expectations about like this line needs to be like a 20-degree angle or or something like that. I think you need to like trust your artist to manifest your vision, but also trust in their talent, and also just allow that to go through your artist. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be just like you imagine, but also it's going to be different. So there's definitely that. And I think, like, for me, I try to respect my artist as much as I can when it comes to editing and asking her to do extra stuff, because I know, like, because the way we collaborate was I commission her for the art, so I'm paying her for each piece of art or each card. So it's not like we're collaborating and then like we both get like get paid by the campaign or something. So it was more like a commission contract. So I try to be very respectful of her time and her energy, because I know, like, sometimes people don't, because I know, like, I'm a creator and artist myself. I know how much time it goes into like actually, you know, like materials cost money, drawing takes time. So you just want to be respectful of that. Like if you're not the artist, you're asking someone to manifest your vision. So I think that's very important. What else? I think those two are the two main things on the top of my head. But like Celia and I, we like, I don't know. I think we have really good working relationships just because our vibes are very similar. And then I try to be very proactive when it comes to like communication and stuff. So we didn't really have any issues. So yeah, I would say like expectations and communication and just respect your artist and cultivate mutual respect.
I think that's so important because like it's really easy for us to be like, no, I want that. Change it, I don't like it. You know, like but then they have to go back and rewind like hours of work or do this and that, and that's not something that we think about, not because we're not being like purposefully insensitive, but we just don't know that process. Like if you're not an artist, like for me, like I'm just beginning now to understand, like that pre-sketch took me like 500 years. And I was like, I can't imagine what it takes like for somebody to fully illustrate something. And so it really kind of like brought it back down to reality, like, whoa, like I need to, like, I can't be so rigid, like you're saying, like, because you have something in your head, but if you don't have the capability to manifest it, then you have to like trust that it's going to manifest through that other person and through that collaboration and stuff. So I think that's really important piece of advice.
Yeah, like you can still be on point about how you want it to look, because, you know, I think as creators, you want it to really represent your vision, right? But at the same time, you don't want to like be a helicopter.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. So we're still talking about the Way of the Panda Tarot, and we have one more question about this deck. And I guess it applies to Spread Machine, but I think this is more of like a tarot question. How was the process of the guidebook creation? Like, well, let me read the question. It says, any tips on creating the corresponding guidebook for the deck?
Oh, okay. Another favorite question. All right. So I'm like, I think like, as an indie deck creator, your guidebook is really a really great opportunity for you to invite the person who's using your deck into the world that you've created, right? I would always say, like, don't just write a book of definitions and keywords. I think it's useful to have because I have those for my guidebook, but it's like if you want to do definitions and keywords, try to make it through the lens of your deck as much as possible. You want the guidebook to add to your deck. You want it to expand the world of your deck and not just like, I'm just going to make it because I want to have a guidebook there. You might as well not make a guidebook. I'm really like what's the word? Like hardcore about guidebook. I just feel like if you're going to make a guidebook, just really use that opportunity to expand on the world of your deck and really add meaning to your deck. Like, think of it as a user manual. I mean, it kind of is, but I think a lot of times we forget that. Like, how do you want people to use your deck? What do you want people to get out of it? You can create spreads that are customized to your deck. You can show people how you would use your deck and how you would connect with the images, stuff like that. I think just bring as much uniqueness to it. Was that a question? That was like tips on creating the guidebook, right? Sorry, I always get carried away. But yeah, like for my Way of the Panda guidebook, the small guidebook, I have two, right? I have like a tiny one, which is like within the deck. That one's just like a quick reference, but I made it as like, I put in as much panda flavor as I could. And you get panda messages, cute panda spreads, all that jazz. And I have the official guidebook because I know I'm a writer, so I know I'm going to write a book about anything that I make. So that one, I know I want to tell a lot of stories. And actually, that one also has like a really long sort of creation journey. But at the end, I ended up with a guidebook that's very lots of storytelling, lots of like creative, I wanted to tell the stories of the Panda Kingdom. But yeah, I can talk to you like for hours about that. But basically the gist is like, you want to like really bring your creative, really just expand on the world of your deck. You want to make it really unique by, it's like, okay, if you're gonna like be dead, and then the only thing that people can use to communicate with you or get a sense of you is your deck and your guidebook. What are you gonna put in there? You know, that's kind of how you approach it. You want this to be a manual or guide to the world you've created. So you want to leave everything that is you in that guidebook. Make it as unique. Press as much as you can. Like, really expand on the world. You know, like, yeah, that's I have so much more to say. I could do another live with you on this.
Just on the guidebook.
Yeah.
I really resonate with that, and I think it's really important because, and this is more true like maybe like 10 years ago in the tarot community with most of the mass market. There weren't as many indie decks back then. There was a lot of just more mass market decks, and so like the general like vibe of like the little white books was just like, oh, whatever, like I don't care about the little white book, like I don't want another little white book, like I'm done with the little white books. But what I love about the indie decks is exactly what you said. Like if you don't get the guidebook, there's like a whole layer of missing. Like there's like this whole part of it. It almost gives it like this oracle vibe where like there's a whole other side of the deck that like with other decks that just have little white books don't have. And I think that that's really important and a really, really significant piece of advice because it's like, yeah, the deck represents you and represents your art and your concept, but the book is exactly what you said. It's like that user manual. It's like, how do you want people who like just like randomly encounter your deck, how do you want them to know how to use it and know where it comes from and the vibe it has?
Yeah.
Okay, so Pointed Logic, I hope that you're still here. Pointed Logic is asking, firstly, Kim, you are super cool. Secondly,
somebody thinks I'm cool.
Secondly, how do you personally use Spread Machine? Do you mix the expansion packs into the main deck, or do you use them separately? And have you played any RPGs with it?
Ooh, so I use them separately because I think the mixed, like I would, if I'm going to use them at the same time, I wouldn't shuffle them together. Because I think I'm going to get really OCD about it. I'm just like, oh, the card packs don't match. Why? But I definitely use them together in the same spread, but I wouldn't shuffle them and mix them together. And I usually would, I use the main deck a lot, and I just kind of let my intuition guide me to see like which deck I want to use. But I definitely use the main deck a lot, and that's kind of like the basis of my readings. And I would just pull random cards from this deck and then just use a different tarot deck to lay cards on it. And or sometimes I will pull the focus area cards and just see like, I don't know, I feel like asking a question, but I don't know what I should focus on. So let's ask focus areas, because that's kind of what that category is for. Haven't played RPG using the decks, but I have done a lot of like quest themed spreads for myself. Like the other day I went on a dungeon crawling spree, or was it like a healing spree? I forgot. More like a restorative, like celestial star just shower upon me type of trip. But I do play with that. And I also just play RPG games a lot. I love RPG games, like on the computer or on my what's it called, Nintendo Switch. So
awesome. So I have been playing around with my decks a bit, and at first I thought I was gonna want to mix them all like they said and make it all into one deck and just pull a card randomly and see what spreads came out and stuff. But the Quest expansion deck, at least within my little realm, doesn't want to be mixed in. The Quest is like, I want to be on my own. Like, I have my own messages. Like, don't mix me in with the other ones. But these two were like, we can vibe together. And so what I've done a lot is I mix these in together because I feel like the change expansion is really like, it takes the concepts that are presented here and goes deeper into those, and you can like find like more intense and more like reflective questions, like things that reflect your shadow a lot more, things that reflect like more difficult concepts to kind of process. And so I really like mixing these two together and then working with those, whether that's pulling them randomly, like shuffling them together and then pulling 2 or 3 cards randomly to create a spread, or whether I use them separately but both of them to create a spread, but picking the cards intentionally. But I like working with these two together a lot. And I also really like using the spread machine in general, just to like clarify a spread that I've already done that I don't understand. So like I'm not even really creating a spread with it per se. I'm kind of, it's almost like clarification cards. Like if I pull 3 cards and I'm like, I don't know what this is supposed to be. And then I pull a quest card and it's like the dungeon. I was like, oh, okay. It like it's context. And so that's
they're good.
I've been using it too.
Yeah, it's like, hey man, here you are again. What's up with that? Pull self-care card. It's like, oh, okay.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. So we have another question, and I think this is really good because I feel like I remember you saying that with the spread machine, while you were doing the Lenormand, like there was just a lot going on, and there was like an intense, like it was just a little bit overwhelming maybe. And so this person says, how did you pace yourself? Or it's moonlit ocean waves. How did you pace yourself during the creation process? How do you handle burnout?
I don't know. That's definitely one of my biggest problems as just as a person. Last year was a really bad year of burnout, to be honest. I think that's definitely something I'm struggling with and I'm working on. I'm better this year, but last year was a big ass shadow year of burnout. I just bit off way too, what's the phrase? Like way more than I could chew. And not to mention I was perfectionist, I was a workaholic, and I was just constantly beating myself up for not doing something right. And also struggling with paralyzing fear of failure. It was just a lot last year. And so I'm definitely on a journey with that. And as a fire sign, I also just love launching into things and not thinking about how long it was going to take and then getting overwhelmed by that. But in terms of how I pace myself, what I try to do now, because last year I didn't do any of that and I burned out. I was depressed by December. I wouldn't say I wasn't clinically depressed, but I was in a lot of depressive moods. Like I couldn't struggle with sleep and was moody, felt like life was meaningless, and it got pretty bad. And my health was taking a toll. Last year was just really bad. But how I pace myself now is not announce deadlines as soon as I don't announce deadlines too fast. Because what I like to do is like, guys, I'm working on this project and it's coming out in May. And then it's May. I'm just like, I didn't start that project. Yay! So sometimes one thing I learned is like, okay, I want to work on something or I'm working on something. Don't announce it too fast because I'm really eager when I'm creating something. I just want to share. I think you can talk about it, but don't be like, oh, this is going to get done by August or this is going to be done by this time because things always happen. And then especially with COVID, there were so many delays. You just don't know. So you can talk about it or whatever, but don't put a deadline out there because for me, it's like if I announce a deadline, if I say I'm going to do something, I need to do it. I can't just be like, unless something happens. Like Spread Machine, there was a lot of delays and I had to communicate that. But it's like if I could make the deadline, I will push myself to make the because I said I was going to meet the deadline, right? So I have that standard for myself. And then second is like when it comes to, I was actually talking to you about this when you were doing the Divine Masculine. I was asking a question about rest, right? And I was learning that don't rest for the sake of getting back to work. Yeah. And I think you said something about like schedule and rest. So that's like what I would say too, like schedule and rest, and actually find ways to enjoy your rest. Because resting is also part of the wonder that is life. You know, we didn't like, we don't exist just to work ourselves to death. You know, I mean, like, I love working. I'm very passionate about my work, but resting is also like a very beautiful thing as I'm learning. It's like, that was a big lesson for me. Like, oh my God, I'm resting because I literally couldn't work anymore, or I'm resting so I can get back to work. And that's just already stressful to even talk about it now. Like,
Yeah.
find ways to enjoy rest and leisure, which is very funny because that's actually the biggest panda medicine. To enjoy rest and to enjoy.
I was just thinking in my head, I was like, the pandas, I mean, they're just chilling, like eating bamboo and shit.
Yeah, right. And it's kind of like really ironic that I made a panda deck, but this particular aspect of their animal medicine caught up with me like 2 years later. It's like, hey, Kim, remember to take a break, you workaholic. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I remember that live, and I was so glad that you asked that question because, you know, what we talked about there was like about creating space to like authentically be in that like down period, that rest period, that recovery period, because not giving yourself space to do that is in terms of, obviously it's going to cause you to like not rest well and all that other stuff, but like energetically and spiritually, that's like an imbalance in like masculine energy, right? Like that desire to just constantly move forward and like achieve something and do something. And so that rest and relaxation is inviting that divine feminine to like have space in your life and have space in your schedule and stuff like that. And so I think what Kim said about like scheduling, like intentionally scheduling time on your schedule, like, oh, it's 2 p.m. and this is rest time. Awesome. You know, like no matter if you feel like you need to rest or not, you know, no matter, like you don't only rest when you're exhausted, you know, like rest should be like something that is done like constantly, like throughout your day, or throughout your schedules and stuff. So
you should rest
I
for
love
fun.
that. What was that?
You should just rest for fun, like.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I think that's a really good segue to the last couple of questions that I wanted to ask you. And this one's just about like any like logistical story or lesson learned about like the shipping or the printing or like the fulfilling, because I'm shipping from Puerto Rico. So I'm like scared about the shipping. Like, I don't know how shipping is going to be for me, like having all the decks shipped to Puerto Rico, or if I should ship them somewhere else. And so I'm wondering if there's any like lesson learned for like your shipping, like fulfillment experience.
Let's see. When it comes to shipping, I would say I think the platforms you choose online is really important, because I'm using Chitchas to print shipping labels and ship all my packages. That's kind of like it's like discounted shipping postage service in Canada. I know America has a similar one. I think it's called Pirate Ship. It sounds super sus, but it's like legit.
Yeah, so I've actually recently gotten some packages from them.
Yeah, it's discounted postage, but at first I was using Squarespace to process orders, but Chitchas doesn't integrate with Squarespace, but it integrates with Shopify. So it's like this little things, but because now I switched to Shopify and it could integrate, I could literally just press a button, import all the shipping labels, and just print. And I don't have to like import Excel sheet, do all the stuff. That took me forever. Like I did that for the longest time until I switched to Shopify, and that was like a game changer. Like, these little things really matter. So choose your platforms. Like look into the platforms you want to use. Other logistical stuff. And
Does Kickstarter handle the shipping labels and all that stuff?
No, it just like you can export all the addresses in like an Excel, like a spreadsheet, and you can like load it onto whatever postage thing that you're using, but it doesn't process the
Oh,
thing for you. You can
okay.
use
So
like
like, okay, that
you
makes
can
sense.
use stuff like BackerKit, or there's like some like crowdfunding tools that you can use that could connect to your Kickstarter, and they could handle the shipping and some other stuff. I didn't use
Oh,
that because BackerKit is like a greedy son of a bitch. They take so much money. I'm just like, you're not taking my crowdfunding money. Like Kickstarter already took a cut. You're not getting nothing. So I just did everything myself. But
okay, makes sense.
but that's just me. I like doing things myself because I'm a perfectionist and I'm kind of a control freak. Recovering perfectionist. So
Yeah.
it depends on what you're looking for. If you want to do everything yourself, just look into the platforms you're using, logistics. And I think like when it comes to production, because there's just so many aspects to production, like editing, graphics design, you have to check stuff. I think it's worth it if you could like actually hire someone to check over your work.
Like a
Because
graphic designer or something?
yeah, just like a second pair of eyes. I hired like a copy editor for my guidebook last time for Square Machine. That helped me so much because I was just so
Okay.
overwhelmed. Um,
And did that come from the crowdfunding money too?
yeah, I didn't
Okay.
list it on the campaign because I
Yeah,
didn't
see,
think
like
it
that's
was
the
gonna.
thing is like, because I've also seen on Kickstarter that people are pretty transparent. Like, this is what I'm going to
Hmm.
use for this. This is what I'm
Yeah.
going to use for that. So
Hmm.
like, it's also, I'm worried like, what if I have like you said, like a surprise, like, oh, I need to
Hmm.
hire a copy editor.
Yeah.
Um, and so like maybe that it's good to like have a budget for like those
Hmm.
kind of surprises and like add that
Hmm.
into like. See, because
Yeah.
that's the other thing too is like figuring out like how much you need to put for the amount. Like you have to
Hmm.
have all your numbers crunched too, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. For me, I crunch all the numbers, but I didn't do it like as exact as some people would have done. I just got a pretty good picture and I just like gave it some extra space. Just like
Yeah.
add a couple thousands on there, and then just like put that as the goal. Um,
How much percent were you? How much did you go over the or did you I don't know, I can't remember.
for Spare Machine, I think I
And
asked
for the Way of the Panda.
for Way of the Panda. I think I asked for like 15,000 Canadian to print the whole thing, and I think I ended with like close to 40K maybe. So that was really awesome, and I actually got to print
Yeah.
these from that money. Swear Machine, that was a super successful campaign because I took all the things I learned from Way Up the Panda. I think
Right.
I asked for 25,000 Canadian to print the main deck and expansion packs and stuff. And then it went to like 90 something K. And that was like, oh, yeah,
Hey.
that was surreal. That was,
Yeah.
yeah, I was able to do so much good with that money. I upgraded the deck, obviously, and I printed extra copies for everyone. And then, it was just like an amazing experience. And I
Yeah, see,
hired a
that's
copy
so
editor.
amazing.
Oh, I was able to do that.
Yeah, see, like, it's so, like, for me, like, as, like, an indie creator, like, it's hard for me to think of myself as an indie creator because I haven't, like, created it yet, but I'm still there.
Hmm.
But, like, as an indie creator, like, it's so, like, inspiring to see, like, I'm just talking to, like, not, we're just all human beings, right?
Hmm.
We're not, like, special like things, like we're just human beings all just achieving our dreams and doing what we
Yeah.
love and like being authentic and like and seeing that, like I was talking about this with Brianna of the Wild Wolf, it's like just seeing like the success of somebody else, like it's so inspiring for somebody
Hmm.
like me who's
Yeah.
like struggles with like who am I to make a tarot deck, like I should, like nobody's gonna
Mhm.
want it because it's so like specific and blah, like all these
Uh-huh.
things.
Oh no, people won't want it. You don't know how slutty your community is.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, "Oh, what? Is it a new deck?
There's a
I'll get in
lot
there."
of debt collectors out there who will gladly throw you their money, me included.
Uh, Thank you. But yeah, I feel like the imposter syndrome is something that a lot of us struggle with, and
Yeah, I do
I
too.
wonder if you have any words on imposter syndrome.
Um, okay, I think number one is just do it anyway. if it's something you want to create, if it's something that you know it's meaningful for you, just do it. And, you know, just do it. Like, I know people say fake it until you make it, but I kind of like it and don't like that expression. It's like, okay, you just have to push yourself to do it, because if you're afraid of something, then that means it's because you want it, right? It's because it's a genuine part of you that you're trying to put out there for the world to see. If you're not afraid, it's probably not that big of a deal, you know? So it's actually a good sign that you're feeling a little fake, or you're feeling like, what if nobody likes it? But I remember feeling like that. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to launch Way of the Panda Tarot and no one's going to back it. And it's just going to be tumbleweeds everywhere. But that didn't happen. Like, if you put in the work, you believe in your deck, and it's going to happen. And the indie deck creator, not the creator community, the deck buying community is really amazing, because people know about Kickstarters now. Like, they're just,
that's true.
They love to support indie deck creators. So, yeah, like, just do it. And then if you're afraid, you're feeling like an imposter, it's actually a good thing, because your brain knows, like, okay, this is an important thing, right? Like, we could actually succeed in this. So your brain is just like, go there. It's like your brain being a bitch, right?
yeah. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. So you should actually feel excited. It's like, oh my God, if my brain is acting like this, I should do it just to troll my brain and
just to troll,
because this is what I love. Like, so kind of play that reverse psychology with your brain. Make it fun.
I really love that. That's lovely advice. I really love that. We have a couple of questions, more questions, and then my final questions for you, Kim.
Okay.
How did you pace yourself? All right, so any tips on creating the box? Is it straightforward, or were there booby traps?
Booby traps. For box, I kind of did it sort of intuitively. I just sort of thought of it as a book cover, and then I just sort of went with my gut and just sort of played with. I just kind of played with it. I didn't really went in with like a strategy or game plan. I just like, I think this is somewhat how I want it to look. Let me just move things around and see, and just kept experimenting until I got it. So, but I would say, like, in terms of technical tips, if you imagine your deck to be in, say, local bookstores a lot, or you want people to like just look at the spine of your deck and know what deck it is, you can consider putting some text like around. I opted out of doing that just because, like, I didn't want a lot of text around. I did that for the first time I printed Panda, but I didn't really like it. But that's a good thing to think about if you want like identification. Like, people look at the spine anywhere of your deck, they could kind of tell what deck that is. What else? I think just do what you want with it. Like, I really didn't have a game plan. I'm just like, I'm just gonna do like whatever I wanted.
Did you do original art for the deck box, or is it one of the cards?
For Spread Machine, that one
No, for Way of the Panda.
Oh, Way of the Panda, yeah, that was an original card back. Oh, you mean for the cover?
Yeah, for the deck box. Is that is that one of the cards?
No, it's an original one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I asked Celia to do I called it this deck cover panda. I was like, Celia, this is the cover panda, and she needs to be perfect. Like, she needs to be the cutest panda in all the panda land. She's gonna be on the front cover.
So cute.
Yeah.
So now that we're talking about deck boxes, I think this is a pretty cool segue to talk a little bit about what you're just doing now with the Way of the Panda. You're launching pre-orders. You changed the box, right? Yeah, I did. So, tell us a little bit about like what's coming, what's different with this new pre-order, and like why you decided to change the box and all that stuff.
Okay, so I wonder if I can find like a old edition. It's too high, but my old edition was like a top-down box. So basically, it would like open like this, You know, it's like very
Okay.
simple, very straightforward. And I remember my first edition didn't have color printing on the inside, so it was just like white.
Mm,
And it didn't look bad, but it looked a little, I felt was a little lacking. I wanted to be, I'm a sucker for good boxes. I know some people don't care for boxes. They throw it
yeah.
away and they put their
Yeah.
cards in the pouch, but I'm a sucker for boxes because I
Me
actually use
too.
them for display, right? So I want my box to look perfect. And so I stuck with like the top bottom box for a while, and then I got to upgrade to a magnetic clasp box for Spell Machine, and I was like, this is the best thing ever. It literally looks like a book cover.
It's so amazing. This is what I want in mine.
Yeah, it's like a little treasure box. I'm just like, I'm doing Pro Panda as well. So I ended up redesigning the box. So now it has like a little like design on the inside. I don't know if you guys can see.
So pretty.
A seamless pattern that I made with Celia's art. And then there's a little like design on the bottom of the box as well.
So amazing, Kim. That box is like, I mean, it's the same deck, but it just has like, I don't know, like this energy.
Like the extra oomph. I know.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's like this extra oomph.
Mm-hmm. I know, like it really makes a difference for me. I just feel like magnetic, like these clasp boxes, it's just like a magic storybook feel. Like this is everything. I remember it was funny when I talked about Spell Machine, I kept saying magnetic, like, what did I say? Like something funny and stupid. Like I meant the clasp. I think I said metallic clasp box. So I was like, I hope people didn't actually expect it a metal box. Because I kept saying that throughout my Kickstarter campaign. And I didn't realize until much later. So.
Well, that's okay. So the last little question is, and then this is a pretty good segue into my last question too. What was the difference between your expectations during the creation process, and then the reality after launching and success?
Is that for Spell Machine or for any deck?
I think they didn't specify, so maybe the Way of the Panda or both, or like, yeah.
Let's see. So it's like before and after launching, right?
Yeah.
I think
Way of the Panda.
Yeah, I think Way of the Panda was, I think, exactly how I envisioned. It wasn't, I think it was my first time printing a deck, so I was like really nervous about that, but it was also, it came out the way I wanted it to, so there weren't many surprises. Spell Machine was actually the one that went through a lot of changes, because I actually ended up changing so many of the cards like last minute because the color scheme wasn't working. A lot of the colors were too light. It was just eating the white font alive. And I didn't want to put it was just killing the vibe. I wanted like the light ethereal feeling of like the white font color. You know what I'm talking about? So I had to switch out the entire like color scheme, and that stressed me out. But I was like, I need to do this. I am not printing with these like fucked up color scheme. Sorry for all the But anyway, I had to redo all of that. So that was post campaign, and I was like really nervous because I was like, oh my god, like I don't know if people are gonna like this, but but I feel like the change was like meaningful and it was worth it, because otherwise the white font would just not be readable at all. So I just decided to do that. And people received it really well, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really cool. And I think that it's a really interesting question, because you definitely have like a specific set of, I guess, like expectations of what you think you're going to do, or how well you think the project is going to be received. Because, you know, you have to quote the printer, like how many decks you think you're going to print. And like, so like, I it's interesting. And I'm now going to be thinking about that for myself to see like what my expectations are now, and seeing like what happens when I launch, and see like what happens then, and compare.
Oh, I just remembered something. Can I add something?
Okay. Yes, of course.
Okay, so for Way of the Panda Tarot, the deck itself was pretty, I imagined this was what the deck was going to be, and that was how it turned out. I included a lot of accessories for Way of the Panda for my campaign. You know, I did like a pouch, I did this like, I did Guidebook, And I did like tarot cloth and bookmarks and art prints. Don't do that. Don't do that. It was so much work after. Like, it was just, I was like, it was really fun to do all these bundles, but after the campaign, I was like, oh my freaking God, why did I do that? That was so much more work, because like I have to like now design a cloth and contact a manufacturer, printer for the cloth, and do all the correspondence and all of that. Do the same thing for the pouch, and bookmark was okay. It was just load the image, print the bookmark, but it was just, the accessories was so much work. That's why in Square Machine I didn't do a lot of accessories, just because it was insane. I don't recommend doing all those accessories unless you have people to help you or you really love it. But otherwise, I wouldn't do it again.
So thank you for saying that, because I actually, it's funny you say that, because I just like, that thought was just brought to my head today. Or maybe it was yesterday, because Brendan from the Pacific Northwest Tarot, in their little detail post they did, he said that he was like, I won't be doing stretch goals. I'm not, I'm going to be focusing on my deck, because it's just me. And like, I can't put more like work on myself. And I remember the Way of the Panda. I was like, man, I feel like I remember the Kickstarter had a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, don't do that.
Had a bunch of like stretch goals and stuff, and I was like, man, like that seems like, it seemed like a lot at the moment. Now that I'm thinking about it, and now you're telling me, and you're like,
it was a lot.
Important. I don't think that I'm gonna do a stretch goal, and if I do a stretch goal or stuff or something like that, it's gonna be something just really simple. Maybe like I said, like a bookmark or something really simple. But because I do like the stretch goal. The stretch goal definitely is like a marketing thing. Like for me, with for example, the Wild Wolf Tarot, making the stretch goal to get the ancestral 79th card was like, we need to do this. We all like, let's share this. Like I shared this like 4 times. I probably shared that post like 4 times. And so like for me, I was like, oh, maybe a stretch goal might be a good idea. But the more I thought of it, I was like, it's just me. I'm in Puerto Rico. It's more shipping logistics, like more printing stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure that I'll be doing all that extra stuff.
Yeah, I think there are stretch goals that require a little less effort. For example, for Square Machine, I just stuck with deck upgrades. Like I just decided to use the extra funding for the edges and like upgrading the box. Or a bonus card, because it's already like part of the deck, or it's just a little extra for the deck, so it won't be like you have to do the pouch and then you have to do this whole other thing. So there's some easier
okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's for sure. Especially like upgrading the deck to like better stock or something, or yeah, that's cool. That's a really good piece of advice. Okay, so let me just do a quick check here, Kim. I think we have all the questions answered. And I just have a couple of more for you. This has been so lovely, and I know we had some technical difficulties
in the beginning
so far. So we're good. Okay, so my last question is, what do you hope people get out of using your decks? Whether it's the sparkly, whether it's the way of the Panda or the Square Machine, like. I know you talked a little bit about like how you infuse a little bit of whimsy in your decks and stuff, but like what's your true like desire for people to get when they work with your products and your decks?
Okay, so for me, anything that I create has a mission, not like a very like hardcore mission, but just anything I share, anything I create, it's for a specific message. And again, it's not like I created this to teach you about like in your face way, but like for Way of the Panda Tarot, I really just wish that people can connect with the spirit of pandas and really feel the affectionate energy of the pandas and really be playful and just really embody that panda spirit. It's like I created the Way of the Panda Tarot to kind of broadcast the panda frequency. People to really tune into that, like, be playful, enjoy cute things, be childlike, activate your imagination, stuff like that. And then for Square Machine, I want people to get in, like, I want that to be a tool just the ultimate psychic for their practice as a card slinger and spiritual seeker. I want that to really add to their practice. I want that to be a really practical thing you can use to get more meanings out of a reading, or clarify, give context to the cards you pulled. And for Sparkly Lenormand, I just want people to enjoy my art, because this one kind of happened by accident. So I just want this to be a lighthearted, like, you want to do some divination, you want some kawaii art, and like a slightly panda infested deck, then you can just use that. That one is just super lighthearted. I think most of my stuff is pretty lighthearted. Just let your inner play.
I love that so much. And really, like I said, I don't have the Panda deck yet, but it's coming. And if you've seen some of my unboxings, like, you know that, like, the decks that I want, like, I intentionally, like, don't look at. Like, the decks that I know I'm going to get at some point, or that I'm thinking about getting, like, I try to, like, avoid looking at the images online, because I want to, like, see them for the first time in person. But the few images that I have seen do have this, like, sort of whimsy, childlike wonder to it. But then I remember I saw the death card.
Oh, that one.
Man, this is, like, not a whimsy card. Like, this one's got that intensity. And so, like, this kind of brought this question that I had that I forgot. Like, you did have that whimsy, but you didn't always shy away from the more intense energies, right?
Yeah. I think I was at the time, pretty adamant about that. I was like, okay, pandas are super cute, but they're definitely pandas with deep feelings. You know, you can do shadow work with them. They're capable of having a serious conversation with you. And for example, the death card, I remember, because when I concepted the deck a couple of years ago, I lost my dad to cancer. So I had a really musing or just deep experience with death, and that, like, metaphorical death, but also actual death. So that got reflected in that card. And I definitely did not want to shy away from the darker stuff, because I think cute decks get a bit of they get shit on for, like, it's too fluffy.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna make a deck that's super cute, but it's also super serious when it has to be, you know, like, and I really try to channel that into my Way of the Panda Tarot.
I love that. And I think, and even not having it, I already know that you did it, because I just saw that one card and I was like, oh, okay, I see you, Kim. This isn't just a cute panda deck. Like, this is some serious. And I think that just from my experience with the spread machine, I really have kind of received a lot of what you said that you wish people can get out of these decks. And especially the spread machine has been really good for me as a content creator, as a business owner doing tarot readings for other people. And so it's really been like, I always have it there next to all my other tarot decks. And, like, I find myself, like, pulling and grabbing for it every time. I'm like, well, let me see what the spread machine has to say about this little spread here. And so I really appreciate it. What was that?
Mission accomplished.
Exactly. So now I kind of just want to do a quick little outro to kind of summarize everything that we've been doing. But I wanted to kind of give you an opportunity, like, what's new for you? Like, what's going on now for you? How can we stay in touch with what you're doing? How can we support what you're doing now? Like, after you've done, like, you know, you've had success with these Kickstarters, but you're not stopping there, you know, like in the beginning of the live, you expressed that you're, like, wanting to create more stuff. And so, yeah, we have the pre-orders now, but yeah, so how can we, like, continue supporting you?
Ooh. Okay. Well, you can find me I'm on my Instagram all the time, probably too much. And I have a YouTube channel that's kind of dead, but I hope to return to it soon, because I do want to build up my YouTube channel. So you can check out my YouTube channel. Like I said, it's kind of dead, but I have some, like, tarot study stuff there that's pretty useful. I also have a website, fablesat.com. And for the rest of this year, my plan is to just chill and rest. and not take on any major creative projects or campaigns, because I did that for the past 3 years and I am exhausted. I am
Done.
Yeah, I'm just gonna relax a little bit.
For 2021.
Yes, literally scheduled in like rest of this year, just gonna be casual, maybe do a little few here and there side projects and also do the regular business stuff, but I'm not gonna do a big project because
Yeah.
but like for the panda lovers, I would like to announce, it's kind of like semi-announced already, but there is a Way of the Panda Oracle coming.
What? I didn't know.
Yeah, so there's an oracle coming. I'm working on it with Celia right now. It's kind of, we started like 2 months ago, so it's like in progress. It's still kind of in the beginning stages, but an oracle is coming, so stay tuned. I'm not gonna say when. Not gonna say when.
Don't do it.
I'm gonna jinx it. I'm gonna get overwhelmed again, but it's coming.
Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. Is it like, do you want it to be a standalone oracle, or is it going to be like a companion to the Way of the Panda?
It's somewhat of a standalone, but it's kind of like it's kind of like a spin-off. It's in the same universe as Way of the Panda Tarot, obviously. So you might see some connections there, but it's a completely different system. It's gonna have its own thing going on.
All right, everybody. So you've heard it from Kim. You can find her on her website. This has been episode 4 of the Deck Creator Corner. I've had such an amazing time despite some technical difficulties at the beginning.
Let's pretend that never
happened. Yeah, I'm going to edit it. I promise. I'm going to edit for YouTube, but I can't edit it on here. But it's been so awesome, and thank you everybody for all of your questions.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it was so amazing chatting with you. I was looking forward to it like all week. So
that's so awesome, Kim. I really appreciate it. And maybe in the future, when you get more decks out, maybe when the Oracle decks come out, we can have like a part 2 interview and see like what happened since then. So
or whenever you want to have a chat about something. I'm always down. I'm always down to chat with you.
Okay, we'll plan something.
Yeah,
everybody.
All right.
Bye. Much love to everybody. Thank you.